If you've watched Netflix's hit drama, The Glory Season 2, the drama also follows the mystery of SoHee, the student who was taunted by her classmates along with the main character Jung. And at the finale of the series, we find out what really happened to SoHee, that there was a perpetrator behind her death. The real-life event actually happened back in 2009, and her case seemed to be forgotten until the drama brought back the case into light again, in hopes of learning the truth of what happened to the real-life victim, Jung. Just like the season 1 and the first video that I did with the real-life case of the hair curling iron scene, there are eerie similarity to today's case to the season 2 of The Glory, but it is almost exact to what happened in real life. And there's that exact question of, was the victim pushed by the classmates while being taunted, or was this really self-inflicted? So in season 2, it focuses and solves the storyline of SoHee. SoHee is the second classmate that was really taunted by Yeonji and the villain characters, along with Jung. There was always a question of, did SoHee really fall to her death on her own, or was somebody there? And we find out at the end of the series that someone was responsible for SoHee's death, just like everybody kind of speculated. And as you guys might know, these kind of mysterious videos can be sensitive. A lot of the times, it doesn't hit the algorithm or go demonetized. So your like, subscribe, and just by hitting the notification bell or commenting really helps to hit the algorithm so that these cases do not go unheard of. Share this video with your friends and see what they think happened to today's case. I am thinking of starting a channel membership right here on YouTube where I have exclusive content for my members so that I can make videos and talk about topics without censorship. So if you guys are interested in channel membership and what you guys think about it, what you want to see, leave a comment down below. Would love to hear your opinions so that I can get this started for you guys. Back in October of 2022, somebody wrote in an online forum that they were a friend of Jung, a student who passed away back in 2009. She claimed that she knew the truth to what happened to her, and the suspect needed to come forward and tell the truth, even if it was 14 years later. Now, this person was talking about a victim named Jung. She was born in 1992, and back in 2009, she was only 17 years old. She was in the 11th grade, or second year of her high school. There's only 3 years of high school in Korea, and she was preparing to go to college. So Jung was the type of girl who had it all. She was really pretty. She had big eyes. She grew up in a fairly good home. Her father was a doctor, I believe specifically a dermatologist. She was an only child. She had no family problems and troubles. She grew up with lots of love from her parents. She was also known to get good grades. She was actually in top 50 of her school. She was also big in art, very talented. Here are some of her drawings. She won a lot of awards for her art since elementary school, and she was preparing to go to an art school very soon. So she didn't have any financial problems or big hardships that she went through with her family, and her friends describe her as one of the kindest person, that she could not say anything bad about someone or even curse. In a way, like she could have never really stand up for herself because she was so pure and kind. Now it was December 2009. Her grade was supposed to go on a 1-night, 2-day retreat. Now most of the girls were so excited to go because, as you know, high school in Korea is very tough. It is study till like midnight. So this was a treat for everybody. Everybody was so excited, but it seems like Jung wasn't that excited to go. She told her mother the day before of the retreat that she really didn't want to go. Jung never explained why she didn't want to go, but Jung was that type. She really never shared about her inner thoughts. Now it was December 18th, the day of the retreat. You could see this is the building that they stayed in. There were other schools that came to retreat as well, but mainly this class was staying on the 12th floor. They were divided into 5-6 groups to stay in one room. The room was actually pretty big. They had their own bathroom and things like that. And Jung and 4 other friends, so 5 people in total, were to stay at room 1216. The group were grouped by their head teacher, the homeroom teachers, based on how close the students were. So Jung was put into the group of girls that the teacher thought, she always hung out with. These are the pictures of the group of 4 friends that Jung seemed to be always hanging out with. And this is Lim. Now, she was supposed to be kind of like the leader of the friend group. And according to other classmates, all the other girls seemed to be just like following Lim. She was like the leader of the group. Contrary to what the teachers thought, other classmates say actually these girls didn't really like Jung. So apparently, Jung came from a really good family. She was pretty. She was like the prettiest one out of this group, honestly. She enrolled in art academy. She was about to go to art school. And it seemed like there was a lot of jealousy here. Also, because Jung was preparing for art school, she didn't really stay after school to study. She like went to art academy and things like that. So she didn't have as much friends. So one day, Lim was the first one to come to Jung and say, hey, do you want to be friends? But Lim didn't seem to be the typical friend that was just nice and came up to you. Lim would be the bossy friend, kind of like that mean friend that wants to like bring you down with her. Lim would influence Jung to be late to classes with her. She would like make her wait until she comes, and then they would have to go to class late and get in trouble. Lim would make Jung do like little errands for her that she didn't want to do, and also complain that this group of friends that she hung out with actually took a lot of her stuff. Rather it was money or whatever possessions that she had, it seemed like she was powerless, and if they wanted something from her, they took it. And later we will find out more people came forward with their encounters with Lim that she was literally the Yunji of the group. She was like the leader. She was the person who initiated like school fights, taunted a lot of kids since elementary school, and that she was always so jealous of people who were prettier than her, who had a better background than her. So back to the retreat, the 5 girls were sleeping in room 1216. And just like the drama, eerie similarity, this day happened to be snowing. It was very early in the morning, or technically late at night, after 1 a.m. There were reports that somebody fell from the 12th floor. As you could see, this is a tall, big building. When the students and teachers got there, they noticed that it was actually one of their students, and it was student Jung Da-keum that was lying on the floor. The retreat center person called for help. An ambulance came, but inside of the ambulance, she was pronounced dead. When the parents came to the hospital, the teachers told them Jung drank a little and fell. It was a self-inflicted death. The parents, of course, being shocked of Jung never ever showing any signs of depression or anything like that. All of a sudden, she was supposed to go to a fun retreat and your daughter comes back dead. It seemed pretty suspicious. So they decided to do an autopsy, and there were many shocking clues. So apparently she fell completely lying on her back. So she shouldn't have any injuries on the face, according to the professionals. But they noticed that she had a huge black eye on the left. The autopsy also showed that she had some cuts and wounds inside of her mouth. She also had a blood alcohol level of 0.07%, and in South Korea, the DUI limit is 0.05. She drank above the legal limit. And she was a high school student, so it also meant that the girls were drinking before this. According to the professionals who did an autopsy and later on who took a look at the documents and photos, they ruled that the black eye and injuries inside her mouth could not have come from the fall. So with all these strange evidences, of course, the police interrogated the 4 girls that was inside of the room 1216 with her. The interrogation should have been one by one, separated all the girls, but they didn't do that, and they did like a lump sum interrogation, I guess. And this is the first story that they gave. So according to all of the girls, before this incident happened, there was a little small fight drama between Lim and Jung. Seemed like they were doing some kind of a drinking game, and Jung lost a lot of the rounds. So whenever you lose a round of a game, you have to like drink 1 shot. And this is what they did to her. Jung kept drinking, and she pretty much almost passed out. Now, while she was passed out, Lim took a look at Jung's phone, and she found some text messages between Jung and another friend talking about her. And we'll get to what the messages said. Now, Lim got mad at Jung for talking behind her back. She pulled Jung's hair and took her to room 1217, the room right next to theirs, and there was about 6 other girls in that room. According to more witnesses from room 1217, they remember Lim taking Jung, throwing her on the couch, and confronting her about these texts. Then witnesses say that Lim took Jung by the hair, took her to that bathroom, and then like started dunking her head to try and wake her up. Then they took Jung to room 1216. Now you're only with that clip clique of girls that you've only been hanging out with. According to the 4 girls, they say that they just left her alone. She started to say that she was, sad and that she needed some fresh air. She went out on her own to their patio, heard a scream, and they believe this is how it happened. All 4 girls seemed like they were telling the same exact story with a little variation, but not enough to kind of like question them because there was no CCTV. They can only go by the witness statements. But we find out later on there's more detail to this than just the 4 girls are claiming. So remember the messages of what Lim read and got mad about. So this text message was between Jung and another friend, and Jung was basically claiming that she did not want to sneak in the alcohol for all the girls. So the girls, especially Lim, ordered Jung to get the alcohol for them for this retreat. Jung was saying that Lim, works part-time, she has the money, why is she making me do it? Where am I supposed to get the alcohol? Because she's a minor, she can't buy it. And she was basically like the slave of the group. They were making her do everything and risk getting in trouble. She wasn't even cursing about Lim. She was just kind of like complaining about the situation. Kind of like that Yeonji scene from the drama where she got mad at SoHee for wearing the same outfit. And reading these messages and why Lim got angry, and according to the other girls, it seemed like they were purposely trying to plan this and target Jung that day. So they were playing games and they were specifically targeting Jung to get drunk. And apparently they gave her like a full cup of soju, which is big, 4 cups that she just drank, and obviously she's a high school student, low tolerance, and passed out. And once she passed out, the plan was for Lim to go through Jung's phone, find something that matches the scenario in her own head, and try to get mad at her. And you could tell she was targeted because she was the only one drunk and almost passed out. The other girls were fine, awake, but why was Jung the only one that was so drunk? What kind of a sick plan is this? This was done on purpose, which is what a lot of people think. So now the girls in rooms 1217 were interviewed to see if they saw anything. But according to those girls, they say that they didn't see anything like harsh to the point where they had to like stop it. They didn't see her like punch her or like hit her or anything like that. So it doesn't seem like any physical assaults happened in room 1217. But remember, Lim took Jung back to their room 1216, and this is where professionals believe something had to happen that made Jung get a black eye and cuts inside of her mouth. And according to the room 1217 witnesses, they say that after Lim took Jung back to the room, a while later, one by one, the girls started to come back in. So Lim all of a sudden came back to room 1217. The second girl came in, the third girl came in, and then this is when the 4th girl came running in to room 1217 claiming, "Oh my god, Jung just fell." And everyone was like, what? Like, what's going on? So this seems to be the timeline. At 1 a.m., the girls in room 1216 were drinking. Then Lim took Jung to room 1217 to do the washing thingy, took her back to room 1216. And later, the 3 girls came back to room 1217 until they waited for the 4th one to come alert them that Jung jumped. What happened right after Lim took Jung back? What happened in those moments where it made the other 3 girls run back to 1217, pretend like nothing happened, and the 4th girl runs back in saying that Jung died? It is a mystery of why Lim even took Jung to like the friend's room next door. It's almost like she was like showing off to everybody and like warning them something's about to go down. Now the witnesses that saw Jung when she fell and the teachers came, there is a rumor that Jung actually spoke, that she was actually alive for about 20 to 30 minutes. Some classmates swear that Jung spoke and said, "I can't go like this. I feel so sorry to my mom." Now, if this is true that Jung did speak and said this, why would she say this if this was self-induced? Although professionals say that falling from 12th story, it's unlikely that Jung spoke or was awake at all. So this information that she actually spoke is unconfirmed. And in 2010, it seems like all of the girls decided to kind of change their story. So the girls now claim that there was no fight at all. There was just a slight hair pulling just to wake Jung up. That Jung herself asked to get drunk, that she really loved drinking and that day she just wanted to pass out. Police ruled at the end that because there was no CCTV and that they were just going off of these witness statements, that the girls had nothing to do with Jung's death and that this was most likely self-inflicted. But at the end, Lim was charged with assault to the victim from the fight, so the court did say that yes, there was a fight and Lim was responsible just for the assault, and she was only charged with fulfilling community services because she was only 17. And it seemed like this is where the case ended and parents could not do anything about it. Now fast forward to 2023 when the glory drama happened and the parents still seeked for more answers because they knew that something had to happen and that Jung herself was not responsible for her own death. So 14 years later now, girls from room 1217 were interviewed by 그것이 알고 싶다, a new documentary. They drew remember once the two were on the couch where Lim was saying, "What are you gonna do about these messages?" Jung said, "I'm sorry, what can I do?" And Lim said, "You can go die then. And don't talk to me in school ever again." There was another witness, a middle school student. Now, this other school was also having a retreat at the same building, and they were staying at floor 7 and 8. He says that he was playing games late at night, and he heard some girls like laughing. So he went out the patio, he looked up, and it seemed like there was about 4 to 5 girls just laughing at something. Quote, laughing like something was really funny. He came back inside and says about 5 to 10 minutes later, he heard something hit the floor really loud. And of course, he went outside and noticed that someone was on the grounds. And because of the snow, this is how they were able to get these footprints. Now, they believe this was the footprints and this was the edge of that patio. Now, these potential photos of the footprints doesn't really give us much answers. They cannot tell if this was like the front of her foot that she was at the edge or the foot was like pointing towards the apartment. So taking these photos and other evidence that they have, professionals did a simulation test to see what is the likely possibility of how Jung fell. Could she really have done this? And with multiple rounds of tests, they found out that the most likely way that she fell was in the position of holding the rim and letting go of the right arm. She then fell to the first layer of like a shed roof, then falling completely down the ground. And they could not eliminate the possibility of also someone pushing her right arm off and falling that way. You do have to also put into consideration that it seemed like Jung was also heavily intoxicated. Clearly not like the other girls. The other girls seemed to be very fine. Parents, again, feeling like there was more story to this, they did a DNA test under the fingernails to see if there was any DNA, and no DNA was found. Psychologists say that there had to be something that happened in room 1216 after Jung went back into the room with the girls, and that some kind of bomb, some situation exploded, and the girls one by one came into room 1217 to get away from that situation and make it kind of look natural. So what is that bomb? What is that situation that made all the girls come back to room 1217 like nothing happened? So would you really think that if you dragged your friend back into the room that you did nothing to her, where maybe only Lim or maybe all the girls took turns to hit her, especially giving her a black eye? Now, there was also a voice recording of all the girls talking about the situation after the fact. And apparently Lim said, "If I was to say to Jung, I don't want to be friends with you anymore, she's the type to harm herself." And this also raised the question of, did Lim and the other girls psychologically push Jung to do this to herself? Almost like in the drama where you see Yeonji was responsible, but at the same time it was more like also a psychological thing as well, and like a little bit of accident as well, you know what I mean? So was this an extreme psychological push for Jung to do this, to get her to an extreme point and taunt her to her death, and maybe physically touching her to cause the fall of her death? Rather it was done on accident or on purpose, you're still responsible. Now, if Jung really hated these girls, why did she stay in the room with them, right? Why was she assigned the room? So according to other classmates, Jung really didn't want to stay with them. Now, apparently that day as well, Jung asked the homeroom teacher, "Can I please switch rooms?" The homeroom teacher then, in front of everybody where Lim and other girls are watching, asked, "Hey, who wants to switch rooms with Jung?" And none of the girls like raised their hands because they were all afraid of Lim. Nobody wanted to share the room with these mean girls. And also because of this encounter, apparently this is what also pushed Lim to hate Jung even more. More truth came out that apparently the teachers were also drinking with some of the students. So I guess the teachers partially felt guilty that they were drinking with students, which they definitely should not have been doing. So they were also instructing other classmates to lie and police interrogations to say that, the teachers weren't involved. So I believe this is also all something that the teachers contributed to make the perfect scenario for the victims to be taunted. One thing we do have to touch up is, remember that person who wrote that they know the truth about what happened to Jung in an online community forum right after the drama came out? Apparently whoever wrote this was actually fake. This person was not related to Jung, that she herself was taunted in school and she just felt like Jung needs some justice. So she made up a story that she was there that day, that she knows what happened, but apparently it was all a lie. But regardless, because of this online forum, they were able to reinvestigate and bring this case to light again. So I do think it's bad that anyone can go online and make up a story that they knew someone. Could be dangerous, but in this case, it did bring back this case. In 2023, 14 years later, the documentary crew did try to find the girls that was in 1216 with her, but it seemed like a lot of them, most of them, I think 2 girls, changed their name. One of them has a child, is married, and none of them were willing to speak up to the documentary crew. But to see these suspects to live such a normal life after their friend that apparently that they cared for is gone, and nobody really taking responsibility for this, is killing the parents 14 years later. And if you search online, you do see the photos of Jung when she was found. It is a deep black eye, you guys. Although the courts ruled that the point of the assaults and the jump were different, so they cannot physically link and hold these girls responsible for the death. People question maybe the police and the courts have the timeline wrong, that these 4 girls decided to match their stories to obviously benefit them and hide the truth of what really happened the moment before Jung died. I personally believe that the girls took Jung back to their room. There was some kind of a physical altercation. They all went to the patio, according to that guy witness, and they were just physically taunting and pushing Jung to do this. I think they gave her like some kind of a punishment. Hey, if you're sorry, go out in the patio and show me that you're really sorry. So in that intoxicated state, she was like psychologically pushed to do something that she didn't mean. Hence the reason why that guy witness heard the girls laughing, that maybe they were laughing at the situation that Jung was drunk. She was doing whatever they were telling her to do. They found that funny. And this is where maybe one of the girls really did push, maybe slip the fingers a little bit, or maybe they didn't touch her, but again, psychologically pushed her to the edge. In the drama, The Glory Season 2, we find out the truth of what happened to SoHee even 18 years later. It's been 14 years in the real life case, and do you think that we will get the truth? Police say that unless they have new evidences, it's a really hard case to actually open back up. And the only witnesses right before her death being the exact 4 girls who taunted her does not help. They are the only ones who know exactly what happened the moment before Jung's death. And unless one of those girls speak up, this case will remain a mystery, or, like the police concluded, a self-inflicted death. Let me know what you guys think really happened in that room 1216. I do believe that the police did get the timeline wrong, and that's because they did not pull the girls one by one to be interviewed. They interviewed them all at the same time. So they had the time to make up a story that they all synchronized in. Remember to leave your thoughts below, and if there's any case recommendations, email me here, and see you on my next video.